那手中开天地。
No, yes, no, all one. This.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Master Ching was born in a wealthy Vietnamese family. When she was a little girl, she always followed her parents, who truly believed in God and Jesus Christ, to church on Sundays. During the weekdays, she spent most of her after-school hours with her grandmother, who was a true faithful Buddhist, and studied all the Buddha Sutras. Because of this special family background, Master Ching has accepted both Catholic and Buddhist teachings since her childhood. Concerning Master's biography, please refer to the free booklet at the entrance. Soon after Master acquired her own enlightenment, knowing the desires and sufferings of other living beings, she started to share her enlightenment with others and teach people in Taiwan how to obtain it. She takes care of all living beings, including animals and plants, with great love, patience, and understanding. She teaches anyone who wants to discover the inborn inner superpower, the truth, the enlightenment, without bias. What she teaches us is the method how to contact God, the universal superpower, by inner light and sound, directly. All worldly things, including rocks, plants, and living beings, are composed of non-stop moving elements and communicate with each other through vibrations, varying kinds of vibrations. Because we cannot find the right frequency, we cannot contact God, our Godfather. Just like if we cannot find the right channel, we cannot watch the desired TV program. The immediate benefit of studying Master's teachings is the understanding of Bible, Saints' teachings, and the Buddha Sutra. I finally understood why Jesus Christ said, "Love your enemies," because there is no such thing as enemies. There are only misunderstanding and different desires. After all, the most difficult enemy is myself. Some of her students have smoked and drink for more than 10 years before follow her teachings. They quit both smoke and drink after initiation without any mental struggling. To do or not to do? The answer is absolute. No smoke and no drink. There are also many side effects, not bad ones, but all good ones, of practice enlightenment every day. I enjoy it more and more every morning and every second. I believe you will enjoy it also. You probably have many questions, so please get a piece of paper and write down any kind of questions concerning your beliefs. Master will reserve some time to answer your doubts. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Master Ching.
Thank you. 谢谢，讲得蛮好。She spoke so well. I wonder if I have any more ideas left. She's stolen everything. Now I will pray to God. Please be merciful and send something. Good evening, first of all. And I'm happy to see you again today. Out of your busy schedule, you still spend some time for me. Some of the brothers from yesterday have come back. And this means yesterday's lecture was not so boring. So today come will have some hope. It is like this. The truth we all know. We just forgot. So sometimes someone has to remind us and make us remember again what is the purpose of our life and what for do we have to find the truth. What for must we practice? Why must we believe in God or Buddha, whomever we think is the highest power of the universe? When the Buddha was still alive, he often spoke to his disciples about the importance of self-discipline and practicing self-realization. Now the disciplines we all know. Other scriptures mention these things, such as non-violence, loving thy neighbor, loving thy enemies, etc. And leading a very pure and virtuous life. Now, the problem is that when we are confronted with the reality and the pressure of the society, it is difficult for us to love thy enemy or to love thy neighbor. But actually, we are not to be blamed for. It is because we are so helpless and powerless against the mass influence of society and the pressure of nowadays living. Is my English okay? The lady looks so so desperate. I wonder if my English is out of order. You are just paying attention, right? Not because my English is so lousy. It's not Oxford English. It's a kind of a mixture between English, Vietnamese, and French, and Italiano, German, and Taiwanese. Now, why is it that we could not keep the discipline laid down by the ancient masters? It is not because we do not want to, or that we don't make any effort to do so, but it is because we do not have enough power. We are tired, weary of existence. Sometimes we must work hard and we must survive in this ever fast-growing standard of civilization. And then we also have to face all kinds of even more civilized temptations. Before, the temptations were not so civilized. And now it is more civilized society and more civilized temptations. So actually, we should make a more civilized approach to guard ourselves if we want to regain our self-respect, self-wisdom, and self-right. Because sometimes it looks like we are lost in the whirlpool of existence, of the pressure. And we seem to lose ourselves. It is not that we lose our body or our desires. It's just that we lose self-control. And self-control is so important to us that we should pay attention. So in the Bible, it is say, what shall it benefit a man if he gains the whole world and lose his own self? And now we all know about this phrase, and we probably repeat it many times. What benefits a man if he so blah blah blah. But then we don't know what it means by losing ourselves. We are thinking, why? I haven't lost anything. I'm just gaining every day. Maybe got promotion from the boss, or the business are running well, and getting more children each year. This is our promotion. But that is not the gaining. It is a kind of more lovely burden only. Some burdens are unbearable, some burdens are very lovely. So we love it. The more position we gain, the more children and the more money, the more possessions, the more burden. And we lose ourselves more in taking care of these material things. And what is losing ourselves? The more we are steeped in this material surrounding, the less we know ourselves. That is what's called losing ourselves. What should we know about ourselves? That we are the greatest beings in the universe. Everyone tells us from the Buddhist Bible, they say that human life is the most precious. And the Catholics also say the same. And then in the Mohammedan scriptures, Muslim scriptures, it is said that we are guests on earth only. So it means our home is not here. It means we are greater than just a human shell of the body. Now then, everyone told us that we are so great, but where is our greatness? What is so great about a human existence? At most, we know our greatness only through our mortal understanding. It is like what kind of position we have in our company, and that measures our greatness. Or in society, how successful we are, and with that, people would measure our greatness. That is the most. From our human point of view, we can judge how great a person is. But then, if we think carefully, these things are not permanent. Even, the presidency is not forever for anyone to hold. And the presidency for a nation is the highest position, the most prestige. But then you can't hold it forever. And so many millionaires, so many world famous persons have gone out of sight. And we do not know where they have gone. We can know where they've gone if we practice the method laid down by ancient and present masters. They all have the same and one method. Whoever says that they preach the truth, really, then they must teach the same method. That is, the method that helps one to realize how great one is and what the relation is between us and our Father God, or the so-called Buddha nature, or the Tao. The different names from different religions indicate the same power as the Almighty, the ever-present, everlasting, the all love and mercy. This is what we call God, or the Most High, the Almighty, the Tao, the Buddha nature, or the Rulai, the Tathagata. Why is that many people call him by different names? It is because of different traditions and different ways of expressing. It is also because of the language barrier, and people do not often translate the real meaning into the local language. For example, everybody knows Buddha, yeah, and think he is the only one Buddha. No, Buddha is only a title for an enlightened saint. You may even call him Christ. It is like Christ is a title for an enlightened being in the Hebrew language. Then we don't translate it into English, and then we keep calling him Christ or Buddha, and then we think there are only two famous saints, and they're the only ones in the world ever to come and ever will be. And so here we confuse ourselves. Now, in modern times, we have another word, guru. Yes, so now everybody becomes a guru, even I myself. I was so surprised to see on television, Guru Ching comes. I said, Jesus, now I became guru. It is good for the Americans because they are now acquainted with the name guru. If the television or newspaper would say 金海法师, that means the Chinese title for guru. And then people would shake their heads and say, what is that? 法师. Huh? Or if the Sanskrit person say 金海 Buddha or whatever, then people will think, no, there's only one Buddha in India and he died 2,000 years ago. And people would fight, thinking I am boasting about myself to have become a Buddha. Actually, to be a Buddha is nothing so terribly out of reach. It is just like you learn for many years and you became a doctor. And so you can learn many years in many ways and become a Buddha. And so do not make a big deal out of a Buddha and then make a small deal out of ourselves. That is unfair and very self-detrimental. Yeah, self-disrespecting. Yes, because the Buddha also say we all can become Buddha and we all have Buddha nature. That means we and he are equal. But the only difference is he has discovered his Buddha nature. That means his inner treasure, and we haven't. Or some of you might already have. Yesterday I also disclosed to you how to find your Buddha nature, and some of you have found some of it. Yes. So that is the way to become a Buddha. It's so simple and so scientific, nothing mysterious and nothing pushy that cannot be reached by the average person. But why is that we have heard so little about the method of how to become a Buddha? The first reason is that we are so cheated into believing that the only Buddha is Sakyamuni, is Gautama, Siddhartha the prince. We are made to believe this way. The same, we are made to believe that Jesus was the only Christ on earth, and there was no one before, no one after him. But Jesus himself has declared that before him there were other prophets, and he, in fact, was the reincarnation of those ancient ones. In the research about Jesus, we have read about this. And the Buddha also said the same. Before him, there were countless, numerous Buddhas, as many as the Ganges sand. No? Did he say that? Yeah. Are you not Buddhist? No? No. Okay, never mind about the Buddha. We're talking about our own Buddha. I'm just referring to this for your reference, for your information. You no need to believe in Buddhism or any ism. You should believe in your own innate heaven, because the Bible says heaven is within us. I have found it, and so can you. And it's easier to verify the heaven within us than to blow your nose. To blow my nose, I have to first find a piece of paper. And if there is no paper, it's difficult. But to find the heaven within is a matter of seconds and minutes. And I have just told you the reason why we have not heard so much about the Buddha's teaching or Jesus Christ, and that the majority of people could not believe that they can become Christ, that they can become Buddha. It is because we are made to believe. We are so ignorant, we are so stupid, we are so small, we are so helpless, we are nothing, we are sinful, we are so and such and such and so. We are nothing at all, absolute. And then from generation to generation, we are brainwashed. It was forced on us, this kind of false belief. But we forgot the Bible says all beings are God's creature. And then God made man in his own image. That means we are God. We are the same. And Jesus said, I and my Father are one. When he said, I and my Father are one, then we and Father also are one. If we can realize this, then all our misery will disappear. That's a simple thing. But to realize these things is not a matter of talking and believing that I say so, but you must take some self-training. It's a kind of self-hypnotism. You understand that? Some people can hypnotize themselves into doing something, or somebody can hypnotize someone into doing something out of his own control. But this kind of hypnotism is not a very high order. Because when you're out of the trance, you're back again to your ordinary misery and trouble and vexation and ignorance, and even worse, you lose some of your self-control under the hypnotist's influence. And I should not think that is a very advisable thing to do. But the self-hypnotism of a highest order is that you use your own judgment and your own wisdom to acquaint yourself with the higher realms of existence, and you become more and more familiar with higher kind of living, higher kind of thinking, and higher kind of power, that you become greater each day. And whatever you want to accomplish, then your own inner power will accomplish it for you. At that time, we know God. And we can say that God has accomplished everything for us through our body. Because at that time, we and God are one. It's like Jesus said to us, I and my Father are one. Then we have no more human loneliness and the human struggle, effort to achieve something by our small power and limited wisdom. Now scientists use only a limited part of their brain, and they can accomplish so much. If we use the whole of our really working brain system, of course we can accomplish more. And this is nothing difficult to believe. It is the question of how to use it, and there is a way to use it. Because for the ancient master, it was very difficult to move about due to transportation and communication problems. Therefore, in ancient times, most people were ignorant of their teachings and their liberating way. And now we have a lot of good communication and transportation advantage. Therefore, we can convey the message easier. But then I have found out that humans are mostly the same, also very skeptical and very self-doubting. They don't doubt the master, they doubt themselves. Whenever you doubt a master or his words, know that you doubt yourselves. Doubting that you could ever become a Buddha, doubting you are so small and helpless. How can you become as great as Christ? Doubting that Christ is the only one who is commissioned by God on earth. Doubting that God is not so merciful, that each period, each era would send another son or daughter to come out to fetch you home. This is a great doubt of a human mind. Not that they doubt the teacher or the teaching or the method, they doubt themselves. Because they are so let down, so put down, so looked down upon for hundreds, billions of years of incarnation after reincarnation, and they are brainwashed into believing that they are nothing, that they are only sinful beings and they could never become anything. And this is not the teaching of Jesus. Jesus said, whatever I can do today, you can do also. No? Didn't he say so? Yes, he did. Yeah. What does that mean? He didn't say, I am the only one that can do all these miracles and all saving, the preaching and liberating work. He said, you will do the same. You can do the same. You might even do better. I think he said something like, you might even do better. Yes? Oh, that's great. I praise him. I praise him. I love him. I worship Jesus. That is what he was teaching. And we forgot all about that. We believe in what the church and the priest tell us. We are sinful. Without Jesus, we will go to hell. If Jesus comes back again, he will cry his soul out because his teaching has been distorted and tortured into such a sense, into such a shape. And he did cry. He does cry. He's crying. Some of my disciples meditate and contact Jesus inside. He's now not on the earth plane. He works in a higher dimension, that's all. Jesus never died. His body only disappeared on earth, but his soul body is everlasting, is always existing. He's only working in another dimension with higher intelligent people, easier to teach than ours. I'm sorry, again, too straightforward is no good. But that's what he told me. Anyhow, I'm sorry. You don't need to believe that. Yeah, it's difficult to tell the truth sometimes. Yeah, you must forgive my straightforward way. Anyhow, some of my disciples meditate, and because they were born Catholic, Catholic believers, so naturally they will contact Jesus or Maria. And lately, 2 weeks ago, when I was in Taiwan still, she came to me and told me Jesus was crying. And I said, why is that? She said, because he thinks his children believing in his name are going down to the lower scale of existence. Only believing in his name, but not knowing the way to reach him. Therefore, they get no liberation. And then he cries because of his children's ignorance and because of the harm the false belief has done to them. And of course, when I heard this, I also wanted to cry. And my tears did not flow out, it only flowed inside. And that's even more painful. Because I don't know what else can I do to fulfill his left behind mission for him, that he would stop crying. You see, once you have left this physical world, even if you were a very high master, you cannot help the physical beings anymore, except through inner communication, which is very difficult to reach by most human beings, except by some exceptional persons who have a kind of telepathy, inborn nature, or by their own previous life practicing. They are left with some psychic power or the inner communication ability. You understand what I mean? Or we might call this the sixth sense or the seventh sense, the higher dimension understanding. Then you may even see Jesus without practicing any prior meditation. Some of them are very receptive. And when they are in the most sincere moment and pray to Him, then they might contact Him now and again. Or they might contact the Buddha or the saints of the past. This happens. It doesn't mean very often though. But if we practice our method, it's very sure we can see these things. And we can learn from them a great deal of things. That's how we learn more about the truth. Not by word of mouth, not by any preaching or doctrines, but by self-intuition, self-learning. When we go into higher dimensions, we will see different saintly beings of a higher order of intelligence. They might have gone to the higher worlds to teach others, or they might be prepared to teach us in the near future. And they have greater intelligence and more scientific wisdom than us. They live in higher worlds and a higher so-called civilization. What their civilization is, we cannot imagine with our own limited human brain. We can only perceive when we go within by meditation, by deep contemplating. And this way we can offer you through the Kuan Yin method. This is called the method of immediate enlightenment. Now you may have heard a lot about enlightenment methods, and I do agree that there are quite a few ways to enlightenment. But the highest one is the only road, and you go a different way, then you must go through there, and then you go up. And this way is through the inner light and the inner vibration. The vibration, yesterday I told you, is what the Bible says is the Word. That in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, but the Word was God. With God, but was God. So this is what in the Tao Te Ching they say, Tao bu ke Tao, Ming bu ke Ming. The name you cannot name. This is the word in the Bible. And the sharp in the Hindu scriptures. And the Kuan Yin, or what you call the sound hearing method of the Buddhist canons. In the Buddhist scriptures, the Buddha said that the best and the only way to reach Buddhahood is through contemplating the inner sound, or the sound stream. But in the Bible, it doesn't say how you contemplate. It only states that you must go within and listen to the inner sound. 梵文文自心. You go within and contemplate your own nature. So now we are confused as to what is meant by our own nature. Our own nature, if we refer to the Bible, is very easy to understand. When we refer both back and forth, we can understand each other very quickly. What is our own nature? That means we are born from it. Is that not so? The self-nature means we are born from that. That means our own nature. It's like the nature of this table is wood. We can say so. It's understandable for everyone. We can say it's made of wood, but its nature is wood. It's like that. Now, our self-nature is what? If the Buddha tells us to go within and listen to the self-nature or the sound stream, that means our self-nature is a kind of sounding, it's kind of vibration. And now in the Bible, it also says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Then this sound, this word, is our self-nature. Because everything was made by this word, and there's nothing made that is not made by this. So we know from the Bible that everything was made by the vibration, by this word or sound or inner vibration. And Buddha say the same. Listen to your own self-nature by turning your hearing inward. Now, to turn your hearing inward and hear your self-nature, there must be some sounds to hear. Otherwise, he would tell you, turn your toe inward and feel your own nature, no? Or turn your hand inside and scratch your own nature. No. He said, turn your hearing. Turn your hearing inward and hear your self-nature. And the Bible also does not say you are made of anything. It says everything was made by this word. Word is something sounding, something vibrating. Because of the language barrier, sometimes we use it so differently. The old ancient word means vibration. That's it. Just like in the Tao Te Ching, Lao Tzu said, the name which cannot be named, but you can hear it without ears. You can see it without eyes. It's the same thing all over again. All the Bible scriptures mention the same, this vibration, the origin of all things. So we know that the inborn nature, our self-nature or Buddha nature, is the word, is the sound, is the vibration. So the only remaining question is how to contact this inborn nature or God, because the word was God. Everything was made by it, and there's nothing made that's not made by it. So now, because also in the Bible it is said, God made man in his own image. So we have some clue now. Is it not so? Everything was made by the Word, and the Word was God. And then God made man in his own image. So there's no doubt 2 and 2 is 4. God is that Word. And the Word is our origin. And we and the Word are the same. We and God are the same. We and God are the same because God made man in his own image. And then in the other side, the Word, everything came from this Word. The Word was God. So, can you understand now? You see now? Is it clear enough or not? Sleeping? Then we sleep together. If I speak not so lousy, then respond. Because we are studying together, not that I am preaching to you. Understand that? We are all the same nature. Everything was made by God, or this word, or this self-nature. So do not make me a God and sit there like statues and waiting for me to preach to you some high-reaching sermon or things like that. It's very scary. We should become equal in order to understand each other and cooperate in order to communicate. Yeah. I do not like to sit like a guru and such a big deal, make a fuss out of everything. I sincerely want to discuss with you our questions, our problems, which I had before and which I know you now carry in your heart. And if I have discovered something new, I will tell you. And if it's incorrect, you may tell me. If you know something better, later you can also tell me. Now, this is a better atmosphere like that. So now we know the Bible and the Buddhist Sutra spoke of the same thing. So the only remaining question is how to find this self-nature or this word or this God. So to know God is to know this word. We come back to the conclusion because the word was God and everything was made by it. And then God made man in his own image. So we come from this word or this God. Actually, the word, if the word was God, now we do some intellectual wrestling just for the sake of fun. Now, if the Bible says the Word was God, or the Word is with God, and then the Word was God, then why didn't he just simply say, in the beginning was the Word? Or the Word was God, or in the beginning was God? Isn't that more simple? Why does he have to say, in the beginning was the Word, and then the Word was with God, and then come back and then the Word was God? Why didn't he say the Word was God, or in the beginning was the Word? Forget about God, or if there is God, then forget about the Word. What is the complication for? Who knows? Please raise your hand. Do you know?
Before the vibration, God displayed.
Yeah, that's good. You enlightened. 1 point for you. An A for you. In America, A is good. Yeah. Okay. Oh, thank God. Otherwise, I make trouble. Yeah. Therefore, we learn from Buddhism as that they also say in the beginning there was nothing, non-existence, and then also we learn it from the Tao Te Ching, being Taoism. It also says in the beginning there was nothing, only Tao. And then the Ming, the name came, a name that is a vibration, the word. In the West, we say the word, and maybe in Chinese at that time they say the name. So the difference between the language makes us confused and make other religions separate and fight each other. This is a pity. We should not do so. And in the beginning, there was only God, or we call the love ocean, and there's nothing at all. No vibration, no light, no darkness, no thinking, no moving. And then the movement arose. That is the word, the vibration. And then everything became created. So actually, the word isn't God, but the word is God. Without God, there is no word, no sound. And without sound, we don't know God. That is what it is. Probably that's what it means. Just like the ocean, if there are no waves, it seems not like an ocean, but a big pool, a peaceful lake. Yeah, because the lake is peaceful and there are no waves. So the oceans have waves. We all know that. And the waves arise from the ocean, but the ocean actually has no waves. Is it clear? And also the same thing with all things in the ocean. The fish people, the squid people, yeah, and all the living beings and the non-living beings in the ocean also arise from the ocean. Is it not so? The temperature, the movement in the earth, and the combination of the oceans, the atmosphere, temperature, and movement make all things become existent in the ocean. But they are ocean-born. So similarly, the vibration arises in God's blissful ocean of mercy and love. And then all things combined with the force of nature. There are two forces then that arise. Any movement will kind of create a force or two forces. One is the pro and one is contra. So we call in Chinese yin and yang. And we call it in Western terminology negativity and positivity. And so this negativity and positivity, when they are mixed together or somehow integrated with each other, then they create the third thing. And that's how all things came into existence. I don't know if I am going too far. It's just like electricity. There are two poles. One is negative, one is positive. And when the plus and the minus are put together, then it has power. It's what we call electric power. And then it starts all movements, or light and everything else we need. Actually, electricity is neither positive nor negative. But without positive, without negative, we have no electricity. And so, the same with all things. God is neither good nor bad. He is only an ocean of indifference and love. He knows no hatred. He knows no dirty and no bad and no sins. Therefore, we call him the ocean of love and mercy. He discriminates not between the bad and the good, the beauty and the ugly. So we call him the ocean of love. But the ocean of love may be difficult for us to understand. Therefore, this vibration arose, and then the negative and the positive. And so we have time to compare. And then we begin to understand what is good, what is bad, what is wisdom, what is ignorance then. But it is fun, no? It's fun. If there are no opposite forces, then probably we always be in ignorance. We cannot appreciate God's love and mercy. So it also has some purpose. There is another theory in Buddhism. People believe that there is no God. So the Catholic people call the Buddhists atheists. Is that the right word for it? Meaning non-believers, pagans. Huh? No, the Buddhists deny that they are atheists. They say, of course they don't believe in God, but they believe in Buddha. So both of them are fighting desperately, intellectually. I think the Buddha meant, when he said there is no God, he didn't mean to believe in a non-God. He only meant that there is no personal God, a one who sits there and says, you are bad, you are good, and punishes this one and gives reward to that one. But what he meant is the ocean of love and mercy, which has no name. And the name which you cannot name is a real name. So actually all the countries, in different countries, people, enlightened people are speaking in a different fashion. And so the unenlightened people are easy to get into confusion. Besides, there is a big mechanism of priestcraft. Unenlightened priests and priesthood, priestcraft, which scare people into all kinds of things in order to catch the devotees for their own selfish motive or their own desire and thirst for power and fame, and that's the only reason. If they were all enlightened, then they could respect all kinds of religious scriptures and understand how to go inside and get themselves in contact with God and then know all things without having to refer to the language. That is what Lao Tzu called knowing without knowledge. And then he also say the wise are similar to the ignorant. Anybody understand this? Why is that you become so wise and then you look like an ignorant? You know? Anyone knows? I give you $5. $10? No? Priceless answers. Nobody knows. Yes. Oh, behind you is first. So maybe. Yeah, that's you. That's you. I'm sorry, he's first. Yeah.
It should wise that really wise wise does not say anything to show that he's wise because so people get it.
Yeah, I got it. I got your idea. He means that the wise one knows that the stupid one would never agree with him anyhow. Is it not so? Because he's doing things and seeing things so differently. So he does expect the stupid ones to understand him. Therefore, whatever the stupid ones say, the wise man says, yeah, maybe like that. Okay, you carry on. Is it not so? Yeah, this is similar like that. And do you have any different ideas?
I thought it could mean that the more you learn, the more you study, the less you really realize from that. and can appear very good now because you don't make comments.
Oh.
Not even that.
Yeah, that's it. That is also true. He says the more one learns, the more one realizes how ignorant one is. And so one stops chatting and then stop making comments and making discussion. Yeah, one becomes more humble. That's right. So it looks like one learns more and becomes more stupid, more ignorant, more humble. But actually, I think he means we're more humble. That is the more correct word. Yes. Actually, the more one learns, the more humble one becomes. Because one realizes that everyone has God's nature, has the Buddha's wisdom, and one can learn from each and every one of our neighbors. And one can respect and love each and every one of the human beings encountered on the street. So one becomes actually more humble. Maybe Lao Tzu means one becomes more humble. That's what it means. Yeah, I do agree with you both. So I think later you'll get $10 from me. Oh, you have to do it for free. You cannot always wait for the prize. But anyhow, I have said it, so you get it. Yeah, this is good. So what is it that makes one so humble? It is the vast knowledge of the universe that one could never understand enough that makes one humble. When, for example, when we are in primary school, we learn how to add numbers, like 4 and 4 makes 8, and 3 and 3 makes 6. And later we learn more complicated things, like 1 tomato is $3. So if I buy 3 tomatoes, how much? And then later somebody else buy again for me 1 tomato less. So I have only 2. So now how much do I have to pay, and how much that person, and all this kind of complication. And if we have solved this mystery, and we feel very proud, we come home and tell our parents how great we are at school, that we can make 1 tomato less and 2 tomatoes more without any problem. And we can make numbers working and running, and we feel so proud. And that is our small accomplishments, and we feel very proud. And later when we go to high school and college, this petty fight will wash itself away, because we know this is so little we know. Is that not so? Yes, similar things. Those who practice very little, they boast a lot. They like to let people know they have superpower and demonstrate it in public, or write books about it, and charge people money for it. Of course, that is the ultimate, okay? I cannot forget that. But those who practice at a very high level, they cannot use this thing anymore. They feel ashamed if they ever have to use it, if they are even forced to use it. Remember the story of Moses? When he came back to his kingdom before, he was banished for a while, and he went to the desert. And then he did not die, and then he had seen God, and he had seen the flame, and he heard the thunder. Remember? As this is the inner vibration and the inner light. So now we know if we practice this method. Before I didn't know what it means. Why is God's voice like thunder? And then why is it he appears like a big flame? It sounds so terrible, so scary. But no, the fire isn't the fire, and the thunder isn't the thunder. The thunder is so soothing that we will want to listen to it again and again. It's not the thunderous and boisterous outside thunder, but it's the inner one that heals all kinds of sickness and ignorance and arrogance and all kind of misery. But I may inform you, the thunder inside even is not the highest sound that you should listen to. It's only one of those high beginners. There are others which are more enchanting, more wisdom offering. And I think, I don't know how to explain. It's everything in it. Now I just forgotten what is that, where I was before. I'm getting old. What was it? Moses, yeah. Now, when Moses came back to the king, he was showing off his miracles. He made the stick become a snake. Oh, and then afterward he repented. He said, I'm sorry. Forgive me, God, for misusing your power. And that is the attitude he should have in the beginning anyway. And remember the story of Jesus when he went to the marriage party, and he had to make wine out of water. Was he so willing and so proud and so immediately doing this? No, he wasn't. He even slightly so-called scolded his mother. Why have you disclosed this thing to people? Is it not so? Yeah. He blamed his mother for being so kind of, how you say,
Advertising.
yeah, actually talk too much. Yeah, that's right. Actually, in this modern language, we may say like that, talk too much. But actually, because he respected his mother, and his mother already prepared everything. So he told the people, fill the jugs with water. He was forced into this situation, and he was so embarrassed. Yeah, that is the attitude of the wise. When they have to do these unavoidable things in unavoidable situations, they feel very ashamed, not proud. That is the way to discern between a real and a false master. The false master always advertise their small, petty, miraculous power. The real master never. If he has to do it, he does it in secret. Only the disciples know, and only when necessary, in order to help the disciples out of some awkward situation, or to heal their sickness, or to help them mentally, or to help them in their spiritual progress. And the disciples know so well how great their master is, and they know very well. They alone know. No wonder when Jesus or Buddha were alive, people were worshiping them like God, because they knew how great the masters were. Only they knew. And so the outside people looked at them, worshiping them, their masters, like God, worshiping them more than the average priests and monks or other so-called prophets. Then they became jealous, they became angry. So arose all kinds of attacks and harm to them. If only these real masters demonstrated to the people at large how great they are and how many kinds of miraculous power they possess, then you could imagine how many people will run to them. They don't have to do anything more, do not have to spend so much money, just go on TV and do some tricks. Yeah? And that would be enough. Or heal some sick people in front of thousands. And that will be the end of their mission. Everybody would come to their feet, and no need to do any more advertisement, and no need to work so very hard and run from one place to another. But they are not to do that. They cannot. They are not in a position to do so, and they are so humble to do so. They cannot even imagine doing such a thing. That is the problem. But only their disciples know how great they are, and any kind of power the master does possess. There is nothing in this universe that doesn't belong to a real master, like Jesus or Buddha, or anyone that has attained their level. The whole universe is their home. Every living thing, every grass belongs to them and obeys them at will. But they do not exercise this authority on anything because they have the quality of God. And God is free will, freedom, live and let live, love and love only. No pressure, no pushing, no controlling, no hinting, no tricking, no using any power to convert people, but using wisdom, logic only. in order to appeal to their own wisdom so that they themselves awaken. They awaken themselves, not by any power or hypnotism. The master can hypnotize, can do all kinds of power, all kinds of miracles, but they don't, because they came from God, and God is all free. God is not interfering with people's business. God doesn't mess around, mess in others' affairs. He lets you alone to decide which path you follow, which way of life you choose, and which realm you want to enter. If you want to go to heaven, it's open. If you want to go to hell, it's also free of charge. But the road to heaven is difficult to follow because narrow is the way that leads to life. Broad is the way that leads to destruction, and so many will walk therein. Why is it the road to God is so narrow? Some even say it's like a razor edge, no? So sharp and so difficult to walk on. It is because the road and the way to it is contradictory to our way of thinking and to the worldly desires and temptations. We have to swim in the ocean, but also have to protect our clothes from getting wet. That's how hard it is. We have to live in this world with all temptations and struggles, and yet we have to keep discipline and purity like the lotus born from the mud, but so pure and clean and so fragrant. And that's how we have to become saints in hell. In Buddhism, there is a saint. Legend has it that he is forever in hell because he vowed to save the sentient beings in hell. Now, we imagine no one can live in hell because hell is so hot, full of fire and all kinds of punishments. How can a saint, a bodhisattva, it means a Buddha of the second degree, can live in hell and forever live there? It is possible. By the force of compassion and the power of love, you become immutable to any harm and to any traps. An ordinary person, if we go to hell, we immediately get burned, and we cannot bear the heat of it. But a saint or anyone who practices the saintly path can go there and visit and have no harm. It is because of the protection power from the Master. It means God's protection. Now we all know that we all have God inside because God is within you. We are told like that in the Bible. Then why couldn't we find Him? Because we're too busy. We have no time to make contact with Him. And whenever we have time, then we go to church. And then we talk a lot. We sing a lot. Also busy. Busy looking at the words in the Bible, otherwise we will sing it wrong. Or do some rituals wrong, making the priest angry. So we are always busy with the outside performance and have no room to have an intimate talk with God. Therefore we cannot find Him. That is the only secret. And now, if you want to find Him, then I actually have nothing much to teach you except how to be quiet. And at which time to catch God is the best. Which is the hour. We can make a rendezvous with Him every day. And then at that exact time, He will appear. And then when we are so acquainted with Him, He will appear anywhere, anytime, any hour. And we are so acquainted with Him that even others will see God in us also, or near us, standing by. That is so good. And then this so-called God power will flow out like an ocean, like a stream, and benefit anyone that comes nearby. Like a sandalwood tree, makes all trees around it become fragrant, like sandalwood. Like a perfume shop, Anyone who comes in smells the nice fragrance, free of charge. And sometimes you go to a perfume shop, the shopkeeper will give you a free spray, and you come out, you also feel so nice. Yeah. It is the same with a self-realized soul. He emits a kind of godly fragrance and a super mundane virtue that everyone would love to be near, and everyone will feel naturally comfortable with. Also the same with the master, so-called master, or Buddha, or Christ. They do not actually save any beings. They do not do any particular gestures or have any intention to catch a soul and bring it back home. No, they themselves are the magnets. They just attract. They cannot help it. Even if they want to stop it, it's too late. Even if they want to stop giving our blessing and happiness and joy to the surrounding people, they cannot do it anymore. It's too late. It's just like the fountain. It has to keep running and running. It's just like the ocean. It has to keep being full like that. However much rain comes down, the ocean will not become more full. However much the sun shines on it, the ocean will not become less full. It is forever like that. So all of us can become the same like Buddha and Jesus. Now the Buddha say, saving sentient beings, but doesn't save sentient beings. No one is being saved by the Buddha. Although everyone at that time, his disciples say they are saved by him. But he said that he didn't save anyone. That is the meaning of a natural power which flows spontaneously and naturally from a highly self-realized soul, from a master soul, to benefit others, without him having to control doing anything on purpose. And that is what it means by saving sentient beings, but not saving sentient beings. Because if they still have a sense of saving anyone, that means they are not completely liberated from the ego, from the self-centered sense of existence. They are not yet completely liberated from the frame of the human self. So they cannot do this universal work. They cannot contain the limitless, endless, boundless, infinite power of God if they still have a sense of self. Because the sense of self limits everything. And then you cannot contain the limitless if you are limited. And that is the logic of it. So in order to become a co-worker with God, or a master, or the master soul, you must become limitless like that. And in order to become limitless, we have to practice self-losing. So in the Bible it is say, one who sacrifices the self will gain everything. Something like that. I mean, maybe my translation is not correct. One who loses the self will gain everything. One who takes care of the self will lose everything. Is it not so similar? Yes, that is what it means. Lose the self means losing the ego, the sense of limited being, becoming one with the universe. But it is easier said than done. To be so, to be such a limitless and boundless being, one must practice the ever-present power of God. And one must reserve some time daily to contact with this word, with God's word, and it was God's word, or with the name you cannot name, or with the vibration of the sound stream in the Buddhist terminology. They all spoke of the same thing. If we want to reach the same height as the ancient masters, we have to follow the same path as theirs. That is only simple. So simple is that. It is like everyone who wants to become a doctor, then they have to follow the medical university way of teaching and follow the previous doctors that can teach you, and you become a doctor. So if you want to become like Christ or Buddha, then we have to practice the same method like Christ or Buddha. We have to contact the inner flame, the inner thunderous voice of God. And this way, I can offer you gladly and freely, free of all kinds of bondage, all kinds of conditions, all kinds of financial, physical, mental commitment. Only your devotion is needed. Your devotion to your own practice. Every day you must practice. By your own time, schedule and arrangement, and by your own free will. And that is all that is needed. Now, I think the time is nearly over. I reserve some time for you to ask questions. Anything you want to ask concerning my lecture, concerning how to meditate, concerning the initiation, any doubt, anything, any skeptical ideas, you may ask without reserve. You don't need to even write your name if you fear others knowing. We don't read your name out, just your ideas. Will you please write down on a piece of paper? Or you don't want to write? Because if you ask from over there, I cannot hear clearly.
What is stealing?
What is what?
What is stealing? Steal something from somebody.
Stealing.
That's right.
Oh, yes. You don't know? Whatever that is not belonging to us, and we take it without permission or prior asking, that is stealing. Be it a grass or a needle. And even talking too much is stealing. Stealing people's time and energy. You know this kind of stealing very well. Some friend phone you and they talk for hours and you just cannot stop it. And you get exhausted, and out of politeness and compassion, you just listen. Yes. And you don't know what they're talking about because it's so boring. That is also stealing, yes. We should devote time to know God instead of talking about useless topics.